Hello, everybody. So we got the much anticipated Federal Open Market Committee decision. And at the end of the day, as we've been calling it for quite a while on this channel, no, I'm not a brainiac. I'm just reading what's happening in the markets and the economy. The Federal Reserve decided to pause raising rates, which is fantastic. This is what we were hoping for. After they paused to raise rates, Jerome Powell came out and says, look, we are still looking to raise rates 2 more times this specific year. Because he said that, a lot of people are like, wow, the markets are going to drop, and everything became red, and they said that he is becoming very hawkish. The reality is very simple. He had to say that. He has to play his part. He must say that they will raise rates by 2 more times. I don't know if they will or will not, but let me give you my personal theory of what's happening right now and then give you a broader outlook. Jerome Powell sees that inflation is going down. We were expecting 4.1, we got 4.0. This is for general CPI. And the core inflation is not doing bad either. PPI came out earlier today, which is the producer price index, which is a wholesalers index, right? The wholesalers inflation, how much businesses pay for their inflation, their costs. And that actually was negative 0.3. We were expecting negative 0.1. There is final demand, there is good demand, and there is service demand. Service demand is not going down as much as good demand. Goods demand is actual, tangible, physical objects, right? So if you need to make this bounty, how much does this actual paper cost? How much does this cardboard insert cost? And service goods is how much the cost of labor costs. Inflation is 4.0. If you actually go to true inflation is showing that it's like 2.3%. Now, Trueflation takes millions of data points and they update it every single day, as opposed to the Federal Reserve takes 80,000 data points and they are lagging. So what they're trying to say is Trueflation is saying that the Federal Reserve is wrong, that inflation is wrong, that the traditional ways of measuring inflation through the CPI is wrong, and that inflation is actually a lot lower than what it's saying right now. Why? There is a huge lagging indicator. This is true. So Jerome Powell, I believe, understands that inflation is going down. Jerome Powell also understands that unemployment is going up, 3.7%. This is almost historic lows. However, it is much better than 3.3, 3.4 off the top of my head that we recently had. Now, he's trying to say that they want inflation to go down to 2%. He's also saying that he wants unemployment to go to like mid-4s. That's not going to be happening anytime soon, specifically the inflation. I don't know if we're ever going to get it back down to 2% even. We've done a pretty good job so far. A lot of people don't understand something. They're like, hey, Adam, if inflation's going down, why is everything still so expensive? Let me explain something to you. When inflation is going down, it doesn't mean that the price of something is going down. It means that the accelerated rate of inflation, which means how much the price of something is going up, is slowing down. The price of something is never going to go back to what it was before. So, for example, there is going to be some retreats, but if something costs $5, and let's say inflation is 10%, it goes to $5.50. It's not going to just go back to $5. Just when inflation is now going to be 2%, instead of it going up 50 cents, it's just going to go up 20 cents, for example. You understand the big difference about what we're talking about here? You understand what's happening over here? So it's very, very important to understand where we are with the economy. Now, Jerome Powell sees that the stock market is red hot. Jerome Powell is running out of ammunition. Jerome Powell is running out of bullets. All he can do is say, hey, we're taking a pause now, but we'll see what's going to happen later. And we're all saying that we're going to be raising by 2 more times. How many times does this guy come out and say a statement and it turns out to be completely the opposite of what he said? It happens all the time. Now, the market was absolutely red hot literally for the last 2 or 3 weeks. All of a sudden, we had a retreat. This is for all those people that are begging for a retreat. You guys are like, I wish it retreats. I want to buy SoFi cheaper. I want to buy Palantir cheaper. I want to buy TFC cheaper. Well, not TFC. Nobody really cares about Truist. But you get the drift. Now is your chance. There was a retreat. You know what the market did? They absolutely demolished, and beat the shit out of this dip. The dip came super hard ferocious, and all of a sudden the market just buys up the dip, buys up the dip, buys up the dip. What happens next? The market starts to recover. Tomorrow is an absolutely another day. You have a few choices of what you can do. You can either buy tomorrow no matter what happens, or you can maybe anticipate that the markets are going to go down, which very likely it can go down. Or you say, no, the markets are going to keep skyrocketing. If you think the market's going to skyrocket, you can buy more. If you think the markets are going to go down, wait. There's also options plays that you can do. You can buy call options if you think the market's going to go up. You can buy put options if you think the market is going to go down in general. You could also do something called covered calls, out of the money covered calls, where you're selling your shares that you already hold against the market. More on that later to my channel members. And if you want to become a channel member and see any of my plays, which I'm going to be sharing right or wrong on my channel, feel free. It's $3 a month and you buy me a cup of coffee. Long story short, there are tons of options for you to do in the market right now. Also, if you don't know what to do and you have money on the sidelines, honestly, open up a SoFi account, get yourself 4.3% on your savings account. Or put your money in the Robinhood account. Make sure you got a gold account. You're going to be getting 4.65% on your money. Seriously speaking, if you are unclear, if you are unsure, if you don't know how to go with your gut, if you haven't been buying the dips or you have been buying the dips, if you're tired to buy or you want to buy, just relax. Have your money in a nice interest-bearing savings account. You don't have to have it at a JP Morgan that's giving you like 0.1% or 0.2%, whatever. Have it in a high interest yield savings account. Right now, that's almost as good as a dividend stock, maybe even better because you don't have any price fluctuations. You're literally making money on your money. Now, when it comes to inflation right now, I saw a chart, I think her name is Liz. She put out a chart about inflation, and basically half of current inflation right now is from real estate. And real estate is a huge lagging factor. So real estate did not drop yet. And real estate would mean shelter, did not drop yet. So there's a huge opportunity that inflation is going to keep dropping down. Until now, the main thing about, inflation going down, it was twofold. Number one is the cost of goods. And number two, the cost of energy is going down. If you have the cost of real estate or shelter going down, then inflation is going to go down even more. Now, the Federal Reserve has a mandate: get inflation under control and maximize employment. If they already have the federal funds rate at 5+%, inflation is at 4%. Probably the next inflation report, the next CPI report, we're going to be getting somewhere in the 3%. All of a sudden, the federal funds rate is by far outweighing the CPI, whether you believe in the numbers or not. If they keep raising rates, they will absolutely demolish the economy. Think about this. Next year is an election year, and although Joe Biden, although the president and the entire regime, whether it's a Republican, Democrat, that's not the case right now, they don't own the Federal Reserve, but they have a huge sway on the Federal Reserve. And let's just be honest, they're not communicating. They're literally sitting in a room. They're like, yo, this is what you're going to do, blah, 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 to some degree, in my personal opinion. He is not going to let the market tank. He wants to win the next election. One of the strongest things going into an election is the strength of the stock market. You don't want to have a red stock market. You want to have a green stock market. For everything that I said right now, in addition to all of the pent-up demand, remember, we had about a year and a half of an absolutely shitty down market. All of a sudden, we're finally red. And you have this whole AI revolution. There's so much pent-up demand, so much pent-up aggression, so much money on the sidelines that people want to eat the dip and people want to buy into the dip. For me personally, I do still have some money on the sidelines, but I did end up buying a huge play of, for example, Truist Bank. I thought Truist Bank should take off if we will pause rates. You see, at the end of the day, there is something called buying the rumor and selling the news. And that may be what happened today, but we don't know. It's still too early to see. Sometimes you can call everything right. Sometimes you can literally check off all the boxes and you still got it wrong, because you don't end up knowing what the market is going to do, especially for the short term. The best possible thing you can do is make an educated guess based on all of the data that's in front of you. And based on all the data that's in front of me right now, I don't believe the Federal Reserve is going to be raising rates this year, and maybe they'll be even lowering rates at the end of the year, especially if inflation is going to keep going down. Remember, everything is going down. Real estate is that last major hurdle. That's also going to go down in theory. Right now, real estate is still high. Nobody wants to sell and nobody wants to nobody wants to sell and nobody wants to buy. It's kind of like a standstill. But eventually that is going to budge one way or the other. Guys, I hope you guys like this honest review of what happened today. I am going to be looking forward in 2 weeks from now. We're going to have, the meeting minutes, and I'm going to read the meeting minutes on this channel. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great day.